Hello everyone, today I brought you a little bit different style of a video. What I'm going to be sharing with how these two people got me switch the way I think about food. My relationship with food, how it changed because these two people, Dr. Berg and Tom DeLauer. Alright, my name is Simon. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, and as always, give us a thumbs up because it helps our channel grow. The reason I wanted to share with you these two people that they've been helping me out, Dr. Berg and also Thomas DeLauer, they've been on the keto and intermittent fasting for quite some time. And they've been teaching a lot of good stuff on YouTube, and I've been following them. And when I started my keto diet and also intermittent fasting, these two guys really gave me a lot of good information. So I think I should share with you because there's a lot to learn, especially from both sides. Dr. Berg has a lot of educational stuff because he's a doctor and he studied this stuff. So most of it, he explains it, what the relationship with our body, intermittent fasting and the keto diet, what all it means in big circle. So I'm going to share with you one video of Dr. Berg. Hopefully you will understand what he's talking about, so you will change your lifestyle so you can benefit as I did. And also I'm going to share with you a little clip of Thomas talking about green leafy vegetables. What is the relationship with our body, and also why we should consume more of the green leafy vegetables. So I'm going to share with you those channels on the description and get the most benefit out of it. But I'm going to start with Dr. Berg video, so he will explain a little bit of what it means keto diet and also intermittent fasting.
I mainly created this for new people just so they could see everything together. I know it looks complex, but let's just kind of go through it. Okay, so here you are, you're having breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Don't forget about the snacks, right? That's an average person. You're just pretty much grazing the whole day. You got belly fat, fatigue, memory problems, lack of focus, you're craving, high blood pressure, anxiety, depression, and diabetes. But other than that, you're doing pretty good. So what is the common denominator of all these? High levels of insulin. Okay, you have insulin resistance, which is causing high levels of insulin. That's what's creating all these symptoms. So these symptoms are the tip of the iceberg. This is the iceberg, okay? So we have to fix this. The way we do it is through keto, because keto is going to lower the carb and it's going to reduce the insulin, all right? Intermittent fasting works because you're going to eat less frequent. Not the amount, but less frequent, because every time you eat, you trigger insulin. So the combination works really good to lower insulin. Okay, so you're going to start it, right? Okay, so now between day 1 and day 3, you may go through a little transition period, which you're going to feel some symptoms of low blood sugar, and that would be lightheadedness, hunger, and cravings, maybe a headache. You have to realize it's temporary, and if you give up right here, you're going to lose the benefits of all the great things down the road. So just realize it's going to happen and just hang in there, but you can actually increase potassium and B vitamins to make it even smoother. I recommend the electrolyte powder and nutritional yeast tablets. Okay, so for this we're going to do 3 meals only, no snacks, because we're transitioning from sugar to fat. So when you make the transition, you're going to make new cellular machines that run on fat and not sugar anymore, okay? That's keto adaptation. Now, the way to do that is you're going to go from one meal to the next. You're going to have to add some fat to satisfy you so you're not hungry. So the fat is the thing that you need to adjust so you have just the right amount. So it's not too much where you're feeling bloated and right shoulder pain and a headache. And you have just enough to go from this meal to this meal when you're satisfied. Okay, so you're going to play around with that and adjust that. I'm talking like brie cheese, nuts, pecans are good, walnuts are good, eggs are good, avocado is good, any of those fats are really healthy. And if you were to do a hamburger, for example, which has twice as much fat as protein versus a steak, which has twice as much protein versus fat, you'd be better off with the hamburger because the fat helps you go from one meal to the next, all right? So make sure you have enough greens, whether it's salad or vegetables, because we want to start increasing potassium. Very important. You need 4,700 milligrams of potassium. That's between 7 and 10 cups of salad. That's a nutrient-dense food to allow the hunger to go away because your body's finally going to be satisfied of nutrients, okay? So you're not eating these empty calories. But primarily you're going to get a lot of potassium to really help reverse this insulin resistance problem. Now you may experience constipation, for example, in which you might need to even add more potassium, or it could be the vegetables that you're consuming you're not used to, like kale, for example. If you're having too much kale, that can bind you up. If that's the case, switch the vegetable. But let's say you have keto fatigue and you're tired. That usually means low salt. So add some more sea salt. And by the way, when you're doing a ketogenic diet, you need about 1 teaspoon of sea salt every single day. Compared to over here, you need about 1/4 of a teaspoon. Okay, so we need more sea salt, not table salt, to actually prevent fatigue and help your body with the electrolyte sodium and chloride. All right, so we're gonna do this for a while. We're gonna get used to it. Now we're gonna slowly graduate to 2 meals per day. The way we're gonna do that is we're gonna take our breakfast and we're gonna start to push it forward. In other words, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, am I hungry? No. Good, go longer. Keep going longer and longer and longer. Because if you do this right, you wake up at night, you've been fasting all night, and now you're not hungry in the morning. Push it further and further and further until you're at the lunch where you have no more breakfast and you're at 2 meals per day. So that's how we want to graduate slowly, all right? So don't eat if you're not hungry. Now, at this point, a lot of people mention, oh my gosh, I was losing weight on this and I stopped losing weight. You know, what's happening? Well, you don't want to go by your weight. Why? Because a lot of people that do this, when you measure them, they are loaded with fat and they have low muscle density. They don't have a lot of muscles anymore. They basically have atrophy. And they think it's just all fat, but it's atrophy. So you're gonna start growing more muscle and all this protein is now retaining in the body. It's a little heavier, and that's why you're stopped losing weight, because muscle weighs more than fat, okay? The best indicator for success is your waist circumference. Okay, so measure your waist, and that should be shrinking if you're doing this correctly, all right? Now, sometimes you might experience high levels of something called uric acid. You might start noticing a gout symptom. It might not happen, but if it does, that is normal in this transition phase. Or you might, if you're susceptible to getting a kidney stone, you might notice a little pain in your lower back. That's because of the higher levels of uric acid. So you just want to make sure that you're consuming enough lemon juice or lemon in your water, or actual lemons, okay? Lemon is a great thing to help flush that out and counter the effects of stones, gout, and this acid, okay? So I recommend that. And also apple cider vinegar will also help this as well. Tablespoon in some water, drink it with your meals with a lemon, and you're good to go. Couple of things will happen. You might consume food a little too much because you're like going to 2 meals and you're afraid. You're so used to so many meals. You're like, oh my gosh, am I going to be hungry? So you stuff yourself, right? Well, you just have to make sure that you learn from that and adjust the food, because you probably don't need to stuff yourself. I know this is hard to believe. You might actually cheat on this program somewhere, and you might find that the next day you're like way more hungry than you were yesterday, and you're craving carbs, okay? Because you just bumped yourself out of this whole ketosis. Just stick with the program, get back on the wagon, and continue. But if you consume the wrong foods here, your blood sugar will be off, and the next day you're gonna notice like, wow, now I'm like really hungry. That's what that's all about. One thing to note is if you're doing 2 meals, make sure you're not doing low calories. Make sure they're nutrient dense, a little bit more food, so you're actually satisfied. And you're gonna do 3 to 6 ounces of protein, unlimited vegetables, and the rest with fat. Now, right about here, your friend calls you and she says, oh, you're doing that keto program? Did you realize that it destroys the thyroid? It's gonna make your thyroid slow, right? Well, let me just explain the facts on that. So number one, we're not doing a low-calorie diet. We're eating less, but we're keeping our calories high. The second thing you need to know is that as your body becomes more efficient, the fuel is a more efficient fuel, the need for thyroid hormones are less. So you're not going to need as much thyroid hormones. So if it goes down a little bit, this is completely normal. You're not losing your hair. You're not having other issues. It's totally fine, especially if it's within the normal range. But your thyroid does not have to work as hard when you're doing intermittent fasting in keto, all right? Another thing is you might end up at the doctor to get your annual checkup and find that your cholesterol is high. Before you freak out and start going on a statin drug, realize fat is composed of triglycerides and cholesterol. So guess what? When you release the fat, your cholesterol has to come out. It has to go through the blood. It may increase temporarily, but the problem is most of the cholesterol in your body is made by your own body. Only 10% comes from the diet. So if you eat more, it makes less. If you eat less, it makes more. Our body basically makes about 3,000 milligrams of cholesterol every single day. So it needs it for hormones, it needs it for the vision, for the brain, for the nervous system, and to act as a band-aid to help heal any type of lesions on the arteries. The real problem is this high insulin that creates inflammation and the destruction of your arteries. So if your cholesterol is a little high, this is a temporary thing, it's not an issue, and you want to keep your vegetables very, very high. I recommend that you watch some of my videos on LDL. I put some links down below. Okay, so from here to here, we're between 18 to 23 hours of intermittent fasting, okay? This is where we get into some serious fat burning. We get into something called autophagy. Autophagy is a condition where your cells are recycling old and damaged parts. It's cleaning up bacteria, fungus, candida, and mold. So it's like a self-cleaning action. And your skin's gonna start looking better. It's gonna be neuroprotective of your brain. You're gonna actually have better memory, better mood, better cardiovascular function, and you're gonna save a lot of money because you're no longer consuming 3 meals a day or 6 meals a day. You're doing 2 or even 1 meal a day. So you'll save between $300 to $600 a month. So you're welcome. So now you can see the big idea and the huge benefits that can occur. These things may not even happen to you, but I want you just to realize if they do, there's a solution. You gotta keep pushing through it until you get over here. All right? Thanks.
Yes, that was Dr. Bert. I always enjoyed his video because how he breaks it down, it explains it, based on the science and all that stuff. So hopefully the goal is for all of us to get to 1 meal a day, so you benefit the most if you are thinking about losing the weight. But that doesn't have to be a lifestyle. The lifestyle can be more a keto diet and more vegetable, and know what is good for your body. So everybody's is different need, but even if you're not looking to lose weight, this is something you should do every 4 months or 6 months or so. If you can do it for at least a month or two, it kind of resets your hormones in your body to perform better and get rid of unnecessary stuff out of your system. So now let's get to Tom DeLauer, how he explains the vegetable and the benefit of the vegetables. And here's Thomas's videos. Keep tuning.
From fiber, why is everyone always telling us to eat leafy greens? I mean, are they magical? Are they going to make us burn fat? Are they going to make us feel amazing? Well, in short, not immediately. It's kind of a cumulative effect. But I thought that this video would be a good one because I have a lot of people that get really tired of eating just spinach and kale. So I wanted to give you my 5 top leafy green vegetables. And they're not just my top 5. They are on a scoring system that really adequately puts them in place with what are the best vegetables that you can eat. Now what we're gonna look at 3 different sections of these vegetables. We're gonna look at the fiber content because we all know that fiber is good for the digestive system. A good digestive system means a healthy body. So that's obvious. Then the other one we're gonna look at is going to be vitamin and mineral content. Again, we overlook this. It's like the word just goes over our heads. We just, in one ear, out the other. We don't really think about what these vitamins and minerals do, what these micronutrients do on a much broader scale within our body. So we're gonna look at that. And then we're gonna also look at the alkalizing benefits. We're going to look at the anti-inflammatory benefits, and we're going to look at the phytoestrogen and antioxidant benefits of these leafy green vegetables. Now, some science has made it simple for us to rate these. I'm gonna explain that to you. In 2014, a journal that is called Preventing Chronic Disease did a study. They did this study to help formulate a scoring system on what would be powerhouse fruits and vegetables, also known as PFV. So essentially, this scoring system ends up being what's called a PFV score. Now, the way that they started scoring these particular vegetables was they took 47 of them, 47 different vegetables that are touted as pretty healthy, and they conducted this study. So they looked at these fruits and vegetables and they said, if a given fruit or vegetable contains 10% of the daily value of 17 of the main vitamins and minerals that we need per 100 calories, I know that's a mouthful, then we will score it and give it a top ranking. So basically, this score goes from 1 to 47, the number 1 all the way down to the 47th food that was tested. I'm gonna use that as a baseline for what might be the best foods that you can eat. The number 5 green, collard greens. Okay, we're all so tunnel visioned with our spinach and with our kale, we forget that we've got collard greens out there. But a lot of people don't want to eat them because they're kind of bitter. The thing is, they are so exceptionally high in vitamin A and vitamin K that they ended up getting a PFV rating of about 10, which in the grand scheme of things, ain't too bad. Now, one of the things that is amazing about collard greens is the ability to bind with acids within the digestive system that could ultimately help lower your cholesterol levels. You don't hear that talked about all that much, but if you're trying to lower your cholesterol levels, collard greens might be one of the best ways to go. Now, since they are bitter, you do want to saute them with a little bit of coconut oil. But here's the cool thing. Vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin, so if you actually cook and saute the collard greens in the oil, you're going to absorb more of that vitamin A to begin with. All right, number 4 is kale. And I know I kind of made fun of it earlier in the video, but here's the thing. Kale doesn't even make the list of PFV, but it's here for a different reason. The reason kale is here is because it's a protein powerhouse. It contains all 9 of the essential amino acids that you need, which is pretty rare in a vegetable. Therefore, if you're a vegetarian or you're vegan, kale is an ultimate solution for that. Additionally, if you watch a lot of my videos, you know I'm always talking about omega-3s and omega-6s and that healthy balance between the two. You want to have a higher level of omega-3 than omega-6. Well, newsflash, kale contains higher levels of omega-3 versus omega-6. That's something that PFV scoring doesn't really look at. And that's why kale made my list, but not the PFV scoring list. Number 3, don't throw away the beet stems. After you cut off the leafy greens from the beets, throw them in a salad. They are one of the most nutrient-dense leafy greens that you can possibly eat. In fact, in that entire PFV scoring study, they are ranked number 4. So one of the top greens that you can eat. And one of the main reasons that I like them the most is they've got more iron than spinach. You know, we always hear that if you have an iron deficiency, you should eat spinach. Well, what if you're sick of spinach? What if you want something with a little bit more substance? Well, there's not a whole lot in the way of leafy greens that give you that iron until you come to beet greens. Now, in addition to that, super high in magnesium, which you don't get in a lot of leafy greens as well. I've done videos about magnesium. Higher levels of magnesium lead to higher levels of serotonin, which lead to higher levels of melatonin, which leads to better sleep and a better mood. So there's a whole multitude of reasons why you should not throw away those beet stems. You can saute those up, or you can just mix them into a salad as well. Okay, the number 2 food is spinach. Again, another one I made fun of a lot, but I want to break it down and give you the reason why it's great. Okay, it's super high in a carotenoid called lutein. Now, this lutein is great for overall brain health, has a lot of positive benefits. But additionally, spinach, in addition to being high in the iron that I talked about earlier, it's also high in zinc. It's one of the best natural sources of zinc. Now, if you're a male and you're trying to improve your natural testosterone levels, spinach is great because you're gonna get those levels of zinc. Now, you could easily go take a zinc supplement, but come on, we all know it's better to get it from a nice whole food source. Spinach is also extremely high in vitamin C, which can help you lower those cortisol levels. Ultimately, just one of the most nutrient-dense green leafy vegetables that you can eat. And this leads me in to number 1, Swiss chard. All right, so it's not ranked number 1 on the PFV, it's actually ranked number 3, but here's why it makes my list. So it is extremely high in something called syringic acid. Syringic acid has been shown to reduce blood sugar. This makes Swiss chard an ultimate green leafy vegetable for those that are diabetic or those that are trying to reduce their blood sugar. Now, the reason that Swiss chard is really number one for me is the fact that it can help detox your body. In fact, it's been ranked as the number one food to help detox the body, and that's because of something called betalain. That betalain helps the removal of toxins from the body, and it does so really, really quickly. So if you add Swiss chard to a couple of meals per day in replacement of your typical salad or possibly in replacement of your spinach, you can definitely get a positive impact when it comes to skin clarity, mental clarity, and just overall well-being.
All right, thanks for tuning. I hope you enjoy the videos I share with you. Dr. Berg is an amazing doctor. He's been working a lot on the keto diet and also intermittent fasting. Make sure you follow his channel. I'm going to have a link on the description. And also, Thomas does a great job on finding out which foods and vegetables are great. Also, he have a lot of good information. And also, I'm going to have his channel in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed the content I shared with you today. It's a little bit different, but at least I figure it might be valuable to you. This is Simon again. If you're not subscribed yet, please make sure you do so. And as always, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.